There we go, the smallest bowl in the world. Okay. I'm like, how do I do this? It's a mouse bowl.
Hey everyone, Hannah and Lisa here, and we are so excited to be back at the ATK HQ. Here we are in our reviews lab.
This is where our team does all the equipment reviews and taste tests that you see on our show and on americastestkitchen.com.
Today we are going to dive into bread machines, which automate the time-honored process of making bread by hand.
So the question is, are you a bread machine person, or do you want to get a few pieces of gear and a good recipe and make it by hand? We're gonna go through both ways so you can decide which is right for you.
First up, Lisa with handmade bread.
So today I'm here to talk about making bread without a bread machine. We're going to be doing our Cook's Illustrated Easy Sandwich Bread recipe, which is very easy. This is all you need right here. You don't really need any special equipment, just your hands and a bowl to make bread. But having a stand mixer is really handy when you've got a very stiff dough like bagel dough or very wet, high hydration dough that's going to be very sticky and get all over your hands. This is our favorite inexpensive stand mixer. We've tested them at all different prices. This is a great model. It's by KitchenAid. It's called the Classic Plus. It's 4.5 quarts. And it just really stood up to abuse testing and regular testing. We did whipping, creaming, kneading, outpacing mixers that were much more expensive. I'm going to show you how quick and easy it is to use the KitchenAid. But of course, any of the steps that you do in there, you could do with your hands. This is a very simple dough recipe. It's not particularly wet. It's not particularly stiff. But you'll see how quickly it comes together in a stand mixer. You start with your bread flour. This is white bread flour and some whole wheat flour and yeast. This is called a tilt head stand mixer. It's because the head tilts up. The other kind is a bowl lift, and the bowl goes up and down and the head stays stationary. It's very simple. It goes down and then you lock it right here. And then basically on this side there's a lever, and you just start on low because you don't want to blow everything out of the bowl right away. So I'm just going to stir together the dry ingredients, mixing the yeast through the flour. And now that that's all blended together, I'm going to add some wet ingredients. So we have some water that's nice and warm, and that makes the yeast really happy. This is about 110 degrees, and you can just warm this in the microwave and check the temperature. It's a little bit warmer than room temperature. So you're going to add your water. Now, one of the things that's great about this model is that to tilt the head up and down for easy access to the bowl is super simple. There's just a simple lever right here. You free it, and then it lifts right up out of the way. Some of the models that I tested, you were like reaching around trying to find it, or it was like difficult to get the tilt head up and down. And that's just annoying because you're often doing this. You're putting it up and down. Also setting the speeds, very easy, very straightforward. It's just numbers from 0 to 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. The lowest, even below 2, is stir. So that's when you have your dry ingredients and you're just starting to mix things. And if you start on a high speed, boom, everything comes out of the bowl. You want to start low and incorporating. So now I'm going to add some honey. You know, one of the 3 attachments that come with most stand mixers, you get a whisk, and then there's a dough hook, which you don't always need. For simple doughs like this, the dough hook isn't really necessary, but for a stiffer dough, you do want the dough hook, and that just looks like a little curlicue. And then here is some melted butter, because yum. And the honey and butter just add a little richness to this dough, so it tastes a little bit more like those really yummy sandwich breads that you can buy in the store, only better because it's fresh because you made it. So I'm going to start this on a low speed, and I'm going to lock the head down, and then just stir it first. And then that's just going around and incorporating those wet ingredients into the dry ingredients and making a rough dough. So after about 1 minute, you're going to increase the speed to medium for 2 minutes. So now this is using something called planetary action, where it spins in place and circulates around the bowl. And that planetary action really covers the full bowl. Some of the other machines also really struggled, and they actually literally walked off the counter. We had to catch them before they hit the ground. You don't want to really walk away while these are going, but you don't want to have to stand there hanging on to it the whole time. For its size and its price range, this is a very powerful machine. Wow, it did a really nice job. There's nothing dry down there. One of the things that's great about this machine is that the attachments reach all the way to the bottom and pretty close to the sides. I used silly putty, took the measurements with the tools in there and then checked them with calipers. And a lot of them have these enormous gaps between the attachments that you put on, like the paddle and the dough hook and the whisk, and the bottom and sides of the bowl. If there's a big gap, obviously you're going to have stuff at the bottom that isn't getting mixed in. It's not getting incorporated. And that just makes more work for you. There's more stopping and scraping. Let me just tell you another thing with this mixer. It's called the 4.5 quart stand mixer. And you see that a lot, 7 quart, 6 quart, whatever. That is just sort of a general guideline. It's, you know, it's kind of like the pirate code. It's like, it's approximately larger than that one. Because what they do is they measure right up to the top of the bowl. So this is 4.5 quarts if you put liquid right up to the top. No one would ever do that because nothing would, you know, everything would just splash out. It's really more like 3 to 3.5 quarts because it's just to the top of the tools where I'm actually going to have a capacity. Okay, so I'm putting it back down. I'm locking it in place, and I'm going to knead for 2 more minutes. Okay, so now I am going to take this and scrape it off. But you can see it's already formed a really gorgeous gluten development. And we're going to take the paddle off, and we're going to leave it sitting in the dough. I'm going to scrape down the sides of the bowl. It's a little bit stuck to the edges, but it just did a beautiful job kneading that dough. I didn't have to even get my hands dirty. So then you're going to take this bowl right off, leaving the paddle right in the batter, and you're going to cover it and put it in a warm place to rise for about 20 minutes. And now to take this one off, you just twist it and lift it. And this does not have any handles. We kind of would have loved it if it had like a coffee mug type handle. There are some that have these little bitty handles up here. Very hard to remove and put the bowl back on, and that's not good. This one's very simple. It just goes in place and gives it a little twist the other way, and it comes off. And it's a very simple bowl, and it works really well. Okay, so our dough has been sitting, resting, relaxing, rising, and it looks fantastic. It's puffy and gorgeous. I'm going to stick it right back on here because there is actually a little more kneading to do. We held back the salt, and that actually allows the yeast to do its thing a little better. It's time to prep our pan for the oven. And even though this is nonstick, we are about guaranteeing the results. So we're going to have a nonstick pan where the nonstick is excellent, but we're also going to put a little vegetable oil spray, or if you're me at home, butter, because butter has such good flavors. So we've got this ready. It's going to go in the oven in a minute. We're going to finish the bread in the stand mixer. So I've got a little bit more water, and I've got the salt. Now, instead of just dumping salt right into that dough, we're going to dissolve it in the water first because that just helps it incorporate more fully, and it just does a really much better job of spreading throughout the dough. We're just going to mix it until it's incorporated. And now I'm just going to take it off the thing, and I'm going to add it to my pan. All right. This pan by USA Pan, it has so many good attributes. It's really sturdy. It's easy to manipulate. It's got this little edge that's easy to grab. It releases beautifully, and it really gives your baked goods a gorgeous shape. And it has these very crisp edges, and you can literally see that the metal has been folded. This is a molded pan where a sheet is pressed into the shape of a pan, and they can't make those really hard corners because it would rip the metal sheet. But this is the one that comes closest, and it's a molded pan by OXO. It's also nonstick. It has slightly more rounded corners and a more rounded shape. And if you don't want to scrub in the corners of the folded pans where you can get a little bit of flour trapped and things, this one is easier to clean. But, you know, in the test kitchen, we really prioritize the look of the finished baked goods over the cleanup of the pan. We feel like that is a worthy trade-off. Okay, so the bread has risen beautifully. It's ready to go in the oven, except one last step. We're going to put a little bit of egg wash on top. I'm using our favorite silicone pastry brush. This is by OXO. It has these little tabs in the center of the brushes that help hold the egg or liquid that you're brushing on. It's made of silicone, so you can chuck this whole thing in the dishwasher when you're ready. Okay, so that is gorgeous and ready to go. Put that right in the oven. Here we go. Okay, look at that. Now this is the finished loaf. On a cooling rack that has little feet to lift it up because you don't want the condensation from that warm steam sogging out that gorgeous crust that you've just earned. This is our favorite bread knife. It is by Mercer and it's over 10 inches long, which is great when you have a big artisan loaf and it doesn't get lost in the middle. It has these nice scallops. It's very sharp, very precise, doesn't squish, doesn't rip. We love it. Oh, beautiful. Look at that. Cut another piece. Great crust all around, beautiful golden brown, fluffy, even, perfect, easy sandwich bread, as you saw. You saw every step of this, super easy, super simple. There is a little more hands-on effort. By hand, you can make bread in any shape. The bread machine does one shape, and that's great, but this gives you a lot more control. So that was our easy sandwich bread without a bread machine. Hannah's gonna show you a similar recipe in the bread machine.
While some may thumb their noses at the idea of a machine taking over the process of making bread by hand, bread machines can make some really stellar loaves. Everything from white breads, sweet breads, dense and chewy rye bread, babka swirled with chocolate, and more. They are great for those who love freshly baked bread, but don't have the time or energy to devote to hand-formed bowls. We tested a bunch of different bread machines, and of the models we tested, 2 stood out. I have our winner right here, the Zojirushi Supreme, and this actually bested the higher end model from the same maker. It was a little more streamlined, a little easier to use. They are both great, but this one did come out on top. Our Best Buy from Hamilton Beach was also a great, less expensive option. The power cord was a little short, but it consistently turned out gorgeous loaves and was pretty easy to use. They all come with their own recipes. We tested them with their own recipes and with our own bread machine recipes. And before we get started, let me give you a hot tip on bread machines and bread making in general. You want to make sure to add the ingredients in the order that the recipe states. That's because they can interact, and actually, like the salt can make the yeast not really work well. And if you don't add them in the correct order, you might not get things mixed as evenly. So make sure to add your ingredients in the right order for the best results. All right, let me show you how this Zojirushi works right here. Okay, you have our baking pan here. Water in first, per the recipe. This is kind of amazing. Y'all just put this all in here and then it just mixes itself. This is so easy it feels wrong. Look at that. I don't have to melt this, just... I would suggest doing that a little more gently, but... All right, and then lastly, I'm gonna make a little well in here and dump the yeast right in there. All right, now we close it up and start it. That's it. You can see how easy these are. But while we're looking over here, one reason we loved this machine was how easy the interface was to use. Some of them were a lot more complex, a little cryptic. You weren't quite sure what you were doing. This has preset buttons, like across the top up here, basic, quick, wheat, and dough. It also has a homemade button where you can dial in your own kneading, rising, and baking times. Really clean, easy to use. You always knew what the machine is doing. Right here, it's telling me it's preheating right now. It'll do that for a little while. All right, so this is working over here. It's gonna make a gorgeous white sandwich loaf, very similar to what Lisa made by hand earlier. I also want to show you one of the pans. I have our pan from our Hamilton Beach Best Buy here. You'll see inside there's actually a paddle in there. So the whole thing is mixed and baked right into this pan. Our Best Buy made taller loaves, which made for some big sandwiches, which isn't a bad thing, but we did love how our winner had that more classic rectangular bread loaf shape. This is so easy to use. Some of the other models we tested were loud, confusing, and actually they didn't make that good of bread. This and our top rated models made beautifully evenly crumbed loaves. Even when we tried raisin bread, all the raisins were evenly incorporated, whereas they weren't always on other models. This is super easy and can get you delicious bread. It does limit you to what you can make in this pan. So this is going, and in a couple hours, I'll open it back up and we'll have a finished loaf. Okay, so our loaf is all done here. I'm gonna open it up and take it out. Oh my gosh, it smells delicious. It's hot. Just go ahead and dump it right here. Beautiful. As you can see, it's not perfectly even. That is a trade-off with these machines. When you're a little more hands-off, you don't get to perfect it yourself. But I really did no work for this. Y'all saw what I did there, just dumping things in. So it is a trade-off. Other models, the bread hit into the window at the top. The pan was too small, so they expanded. They had crackly tops that did not look appealing. I will also show you the underside. Those paddles that built in, you might have been wondering, where do those go when the bread is baking? Well, they stay there, and as you can see, they leave some marks behind. But in reality, once you slice the bread, you don't really notice this. And for presentation purposes, it's not something you see either. So the paddle holes didn't really bother us. All right, I'm gonna grab a plate and some butter here, and we're gonna cut into this and see how it is. You have our little dent right there. But look at that. I mean, it's like almost like the emoji of a piece of bread. It really does look like a cartoon. See that nice even crumb? It's all even throughout. Some of the other ones, it was like a gummy layer here and then like cottony up here that would just dissolve in your mouth like cotton candy. Not delicious. This is a really good dupe of homemade white sandwich bread, and the machine did it all for me. All right, so I'm gonna put some butter on this. I'm only using half of the amount of butter I would actually do because you're watching. Look at that. It's so beautiful, absolutely delicious, and I think I have to try it. Well, let's take the biggest bite. I have to take a smaller bite. Should I do that again?
Sure.
If you are interested in homemade, fresh bread, but you don't want to be checking back in for kneading stages, a bread machine might be right for you. If you want to do different shaping, you want to work on your scoring, some of the tools Lisa showed you and the more handmade route might be best.
For more information about all the gear we talked about, check out the links below or see americastestkitchen.com.
Yeah, and are you a bread machine person? Are you a handmade bread person? Let us know in the comments. Make sure to like this video and hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode.
You're making it sound good.
Am I?